Hi, welcome back to Down the Shed. Airsoft Adventures, episode 5, part 2. I'm going to call it part 1 and part 2. So, episode 5, part 2. So, we've got the 1911 A1. Now, I did suggest I might take the slide apart on camera. And I'm going to because I did something last night which left me in a world of pain. It took me about 2.5 hours to sort out. Now there are plenty of videos on YouTube on how to dismantle one of these. It's not difficult. 6-year-old could do it if they watch YouTube a couple of times. It really is that simple. So let's get into it. So take down lever. So you want to cock the weapon, bring the slide back, get the little notch. See the little notch? Get the little notch in line with that. Push the button. There we go. So you just move it back incrementally. Push the button. Pull that out. And that slide comes off. That's simple. Remember, if you do click it off, you need to recock it. And this left piece of metal needs clicking down. So we'll put the gun to one side, or the receiver, or the lower half, whatever you call it. So here we have the slide. Now I'm going to try and get this zoomed in as best I can, because I don't want you to miss any of the good bits. So what we need to do now is literally pull the metal bar piece here forwards. You can put your finger on there to stop that moving. Lift it up, slide out the recoil spring and the bar piece, but you can leave those together. I lost my little Allen key last night, that's annoying. So we've got our, there we go, we've got a takedown lever. I'm going to put it there, slightly out of camera, and our recoil spring. It doesn't need to be put down in any particular order unless you're not very good at remembering where things came from, in which case put them in whatever order you want. So now what we want to do is push that little bit there. You can just slide that bit straight out. So that's like the little lock-in pin on the end of there. So that slides straight out. And then twist this round and pull it out. Easier said than done. There we go. So twist that part round from here to there and then pull it out. And put that down as well. Now you can slide out the barrel assembly. So slide that out carefully through there. You really don't need to do anything further with this. That will slide back to there and there's like a catch point. Let's try and get it the right way up. So what you can do if you need to take this apart is just literally go past that, slide out the inner barrel from that. But we don't need to do that, so I'm going to put that back together. And there we have it. Again, doing what it should do. So that's your hop-up wheel and your hop-up system. I'll put that down to one side. Now, you really shouldn't need to go any further at this point. What you've got in there is your nozzle thingy, which is on a little spring. The spring under there is a bugger, especially if you lose it. I have done what somebody else suggested and put the sellotape on there. So we are going to take that bit out. I wonder if this hoof pick will work. There we go. Bit of improvisation. So I've got a torque jobby. I've used this hoof pick in the 1/4 inch end, literally, to give me a bit of leverage or leverage. So we'll take that torque nut out, and there's a little bar attached to that. Like so. So you want to remember which way that came out. And the clue is the shiny metal end goes with that shiny metal bit there. So that will go back in. in that sort of orientation. So when I take it up again, you can see which way it stepped. So the bottom of the slide has the cutter. Put that in our box. Now at this point, you can either take the weeny screw out. Right, so just in front of my finger there, you see where that notch is. There's a little tiny screw. You can remove that and take that metal guide rail out and then remove this. And you do have to take that back hex one out to do this. Or you can gently prise the slide open a bit and pushing up with your other finger, you can slide this entire piece out. So there's our nozzle assembly. There's that little tight, that long spring. You really don't want to lose that. As you can see, I've put tape over it as suggested. Still does its job. Now, where I went wrong, oh shit. Okay, world of pain time. I've just heard that spring go. There's a little bit of plastic in there with a screw. I took that out yesterday, so I'll take it out again today. I don't know what it does, I don't know why it's there. The gun functioned perfectly well without it. Again, remembering the orientation. That's got a cutout. That goes to the front of the chamber when that goes back in. And then you can take out, if you need to replace the nozzle, that just comes straight out, like so. Now I'm going to stop the video, because I need to go and find the return spring for that nozzle. Right, welcome back. I have found the missing spring. Took me 20 minutes. So people, when I say, be really careful with the spring that goes in there. Be really careful with the spring that goes in there. So we'll put a bit of tape back over that. Right, anyway, the purpose of this video, apart from that spring, was, you saw how easily that just fell out, and I didn't do it on this camera. This rear sight is a pig to get back in, and I mean a real pig. So what you want to do is get the little line on it, and there's a line on here. You want that one pointing this way towards the back of the gun, and then lie it in flat like so. Trying to get the camera view. Then what you want to do is slide that forwards and try and get it to go through the little aperture, which is not easy, and I did use a pair of tweezers. So just literally feed it into that hole. It will slide straight into there like that, and then when it goes in, you want to twist it over. It will hang in on there, and then slide it back. So when it's in, twist it over on this end. It won't fall out of this end. It's kind of locked in there. Slide it back across. Push up underneath with your finger. Lock that in. Now that is not safe. That could still fall out. And with the back of the slide, I don't know, there we go. You can see it's got a little hole in one side and like a groove in the other. So that is quite purposeful as the way it goes in. It's trying to zoom in on, focus on everything behind me. There we go. So yeah, that's, as you can see on the front, the little line there and the little line there. So you touch that, it's going to go pink. So what you want to do now is get your breech block, get a bit of sellotape, put that breech spring back in, which is easier said than done, picking this little bugger up. There we go. Blue diagram here. that wants to go with the, there's like a thick bit that wants to go in the end where the lever or lever is, and then just stick this bit of tape. Bearing in mind there is a moving bit there, that grey bit by my thumbs, that moves, so you don't want to put tape over that. And just try and get some tape on it to hold it in place. Cut that bit off as excess. There we go. So that should still do its job. There we go. So now you want to get the flat base of this lined up with that flat base in there. Carefully slide that back in. That all clicks in nicely. So we want to get that. Right. I made the mistake I made earlier. Or last night rather. I've got this piece left over. Now that goes inside here if you took that apart, which I don't see the reason why, and weirdly it actually works fine without it, but it's designed to be in there, so in it shall go. There we go. So that's back in now. Our spring's working. Everything's in cushy tight. So now we can put our rear base plate in. Remember, the shiny side is the bottom because that's where all the action is. And while we were looking for that spring, we found our Allen key. So do that one back up. That'll bring everything in there nice and tight. So give that a good tight knit. You want that in nice and tight. That looks good. It's all in place. So now we can just do the normal reassemble now. So barrel in. Once the barrel's in, we can put our retaining plug back in. Like that. So the barrel can't come out now. It's locked. Now we can slide in this bit, which can only go one way. There we go. So that slides back in, locked in against there. Now we can feed our spring back in with our plug thing on the end, slide that into the top of that hot unit part, and that is basically the barrel back together. So all slides back together. So all we have to do now is recock the weapon, push that bit forwards, slide that on, locking pin. Hopefully you should have no parts left in the tray. Locking pin down, gun cycles. So that is how you get out of a world of pain, basically. So let's get the mag. Sorry, Airsoft mic. Put the mag in. Locks open when empty. Slight release. No gas. There we go. It's in there. So we've got air, gas, whatever. We've got rounds. Let's see if it shoots. And it shoots. Well, you can actually lock, when it's cocked, you can lock it. Can't pull the trigger, even with the grip safety, you can't rack it. So the gun is safe, even though it's cocked. That's how to strip the slide down, put it back together successfully, and even doing it while losing parts. So I could have edited that out and just made it look, you know, start to finish, nice, easy job. I thought I'd leave that mistake in just to show you that do it carefully, do it methodically, do it in a tidy place, because when you lose parts, you are in a world of pain. Excellent gun. Excellent bit of kit this, I love it. So like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.